So, and now I'd like to give a floor to Dr. Ieva Margeviča-Grinberga, representing University of Latvia, with inspiring and as well at the same time meaningful talk, language as a key to learning. So warm applause, please.
So thank you. Good morning, dear colleagues. And first of all, I'd like to thank you, conference organizers, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and my thoughts about language learning in all subjects. So, let me start by saying some words about my educational background. And I have a teacher qualification in teaching Latvian as second and foreign language and German as a foreign language. And I have been pursuing my professional career at the University of Latvia for more than 23 years. And now I work as an associate professor and a leading researcher at the Faculty of Education, Psychology and Art. But besides, I'm also familiar with realities of school life because more than 17 years I worked as a teacher parallelly to my work at the university with chronically ill children. So both academical side and this other side from school, it's I understand it and I feel it, and so I tried many activities, also not with my students, but also with in school with children. So I will share about my thoughts. So. Next slide. Oh, sorry, something. Oh, yeah. And in my presentation, I will focus on 4 major issues. So language competence, then receptive and productive activities, and nowadays very important mediating strategies, and also one of the part of mediating strategies, peer-assisted learning. And the aim of my presentation is to look at the promotion of language development in all content areas, in all subjects. So let us start with language competence. And here I like this philosopher Wittgenstein's statement, and he refers that if one cannot describe something in words, then it doesn't exist. And this thought is a key of the philosophical movement of the early 20th century, known as a linguistic turn, and a trend in which a language itself became the study of academics through the lens of other subjects, such as, for example, anthropology. And now I would like to invite you to share your thoughts a little bit. What is it and how it works? If, of course, it would be nice to hear from non-professional artists. So what it is, can you say?
So any thoughts? Any volunteer?
What do you think? What it is and how it works in some sentences? Can you say something?
Well, we do see that it's kind of a technological tool to process something. What's that something? Anybody?
Okay.
So, yep, just a sec.
Very ancient, how to say, printer.
How it works?
Very ancient press. Somewhere
yes.
Somewhere here in the audience? Salina, you good?
Very ancient printing machine.
So very ancient printing machine, and we need one last thing. I'm going to move upstairs here. So any thoughts? So what do you think? What's that? So we have 3 ideas, and And I
Okay.
think let's not torture our audience. They have a whole day in front of them.
Yeah, so now we can look. Yes, it is copper plate printing press, and to speak about if we connect to Wittgenstein's quote, to speak about something about, for example, how it works, we have to know terminology. We have to use different terms to describe it. And can you see how many to start to speak about this copper plate printing press? You as Edgar thought, it's with something with to press, pressure, grooves, needle, rollers, manufacture, mezzotint, dry point, engraving, and direct intaglio. So you can see that without it is really our limit, and we feel it always when we start to speak about something maybe unfamiliar to us, so we lack the words. And this is how important is to learn language, to be able to communicate, to express opinion, and to describe things. So, and this is how I will use Bachmann's model, only to say, only to show how complicated or how complex is the language competence. And in reality, it is like a formula. It gives us, if we have it in our mind, it gives us a possibility to see which activities we have to introduce in our study subjects, in study fields. And here, as the learner's language competence is activated in the performance of the various language activities involving, as you can see, reception, production, interaction, or mediation, in particular when we speak about interpreting things. And today I will I'm going to concentrate on mediation, because I think it's very important. And mediation is defined as someone can act as a social agent who creates bridges and helps to construct or convey meaning. Yes, and sometimes within same language, and sometimes from one language to another. And I think nowadays is the most important thing to concentrate in the learning process, but how we construct meaning, and how can we activate our students that they really become those social agents. And I think this is our priority. And here I like a lot the Chomsky thought about competence and performance. He separates, because nowadays I understand that of course we include in a term competence all the knowledge and also performance, but for understanding today all the activities and understanding how can we help our students to develop language in all subjects, it's important to see that one is this this term competence that involves knowing the language, and performance involves doing something with the language. And this distinction between competence and performance is very useful if we want to study a language and to understand, is it only, for example, speech error, or not knowing something about the language. And so I think this we will use to understand different activities, and we have to take into account also when we plan our lectures and when we evaluate them, that we have to separate or distinguish about this, how my understanding about language, my knowledge, and then the reality. And here you can see very nice lessons, comics about Tarzan. Yes, and this in our head what we have, we can imagine what we will say. Yes, and the reality, how it is. Yes, me Tarzan, you Jane, dumb. Yes, so and this is what happens also in the reality in every day. So and we will continue with a little bit with a theory about receptive and productive activities, and here we see that all of them are very important. We have in every subject we have to understand that all of them are the same importance. For example, receptive activities, yes, including reading, silent reading, and following conversation. And this is what we need, for example, to consult textbooks, yes, and to understand course content. And then very important part is productive activities. Yes, with productive activities, we understand already that we produce, we speak, we write, and it is already with a social value, and it's important to show to our students, to our pupils, to our children how important is everything what you write in Twitter, in Facebook, in school, that it is not only, yes, some letters on letters or words. It creates value, and you have to always to sing, because it shows and says a lot about yourself, how you are. And then interaction. For interaction, we need receptive skills and productive skills. And we will, as I told you, we will speak today about about mediation activities. But let us see here about different activities important for language development and language and literacy development in all content areas. And we will see examples. This is a little bit from theory, but here we will start with this example. I like it a lot, about this silent reading and how we as teachers, how we can help. And here is, I think, very good. It's in German, but it doesn't matter. Here we can see this approach, how we can use scaffolding methods in this or in this receptive activities. And for example, here I don't know how good you can see, but here in this book about how our brain works, authors use blue and red colors to help read also, or silent or not, or in voice. And this helps also to learn, to understand the structure of languages. And so this can be used in all subjects. For example, this in anatomy or biology or in chemistry. And this is also an inclusive way. For example, mostly, yes, this kind of text you can find primary school pupils. But nowadays, if we speak also about universal design of teaching and learning, so it can be also we can use this type of texts also, for example, in secondary education. Why not? If we have, for example, pupils, students from other countries, and if, for example, they start to learn Latvian or Russian or other languages, it can help a lot to understand better. So this is how nowadays very, I think, also innovative way how to print and produce textbooks with this that you all can use, and this is a trend to produce materials, not many materials, but to produce materials to scaffold learning or to support learning of all our students. So this was one example. And now about mediating strategies. Mediating strategies, they include a variety of different sub-strategies and knowledge. And as I told you, I think nowadays it's most important one. Here you can see the scheme of mediation, and we can see that we can divide in mediation activities and mediation strategies. We will look about all of them. Here you will see better. Yeah, stop. Yeah, here you will see enlarge. For example, about mediating concepts, we always, if we think in our mind about language development in all content areas, we have to understand that it is important to see that one is collaborating in group and one is leading in group. So we can divide those concepts into groups. And this is important because students have to learn how to collaborate and interact with their peers, and how to facilitate this process. And as you see, this mediating concept, we see that it is towards students' self-directed learning, and also this collaborating to construct meaning. And it is important in mediation. For example, if I'm not so good at the moment in chemistry or in physics or in math, so it's nice to use this co-constructing, collaborating with other students, that through conversations, through working in pairs, in groups, we together construct the meaning. And yes, and managing interaction, it's another skill in language development, because you are not only speaking, not only using language, but you have to know how to manage. And also, again, if you work in groups or you have group work, you have to think about the aim of all your activities, and does the activity include this possibility to manage interaction as well, not only to co-create or construct together meaning. And another thing, so here is about those strategies, for example, mediating a text. And it's very important, again, if we speak about self-directed learning, is how I interact with a text, how the activities teachers propose and offer, how they develop or how they enhance my, for example, mediating skills. Yes, and here is to think how often we use activities, for example, when we have to explain something, yes, and process text or interpret text, and skills of note taking and so on. Yes, and mediating communication is always, you see, one part is this interaction with written text or oral presentation, and another very important part is this mediating communication. Yes, and here what's I think super important is facilitating pluricultural space. Yes, that if we speak also about science. Yes, also through science we can create this pluricultural space, taking into account also this neurodiversity of our students. And yes, this is, you can see three main things we have to planning our subject lessons. We have to think about mediating a text, mediating concepts, and mediating communication. And strategies, but we will go through, and we will see real examples that maybe you can use or you already use. And here strategies to explain a new concept, strategies to simplify a text, yes, because it's of importance. If we say in the same words, it's like a, yes, we are repeating, but when we say with our own words, then we can see, yes, I understand it, and we can demonstrate it. And here is my top one book. I really love this book, and so almost all examples I will take from this book. It looks yeah, I have it here, you cannot see, but it's my super favorite book. And if we speak about strategies to tackle source text, the first step in all subjects, it is to understand in text. If we read text or if we listen to presentation, we have to identify the key information in this oral presentation or text. And here is one example from the book. Identifying main ideas. And what is important that it's important not only to give such activities, but also to write what you will do. Yes, that you see in bold, it's written that you know what you are doing. Yes, because all the processes we are doing, all the strategies we are using, we have to understand. This is this methodological competence, that I know what happens in my brain, what I am doing. Now I am finding the main ideas in paragraphs. Yes, and yeah, this is one example. I think very good example, and here students can read where to find it, is the way how to find the main idea, what I have to do. Again, the scaffolding. Some students will need it, some students will not, but it is there, and you always can consult, you can always read it. So, and another example is, again, you can see on the with a red color. A red color is very important if we want to stress. And again, here it's not like hidden, but it is, you can see it, critical thinking. Yes, it's not only in teacher's mind, it is also in students' mind, what I am doing now. If I'm interpreting something, it is critical thinking. Yes, and this is this is a main thing that through which we can show that we really understand. Yes, that we use our own words. For example, here is interpreting an unstoppable force. Yes, I can repeat without understanding. Yes, for example, I always if I speak with my students at the university, I say, of course, yes, I have learned in math about logarithms. I don't know in English how to pronounce it, but about logarithms. But I can say I know the formulas. I know, yes, logarithm exists. But I can never explain you what it really is and what I can do with this logarithm. Yes, and this is in all subjects what we have to do is to use a lot of such activities where you have to interpret with your own words. And then another strategy is this explaining information. And again, in all subjects, we have to understand the way terminology and expressions what we use for explaining information. For example, how we will explain information in biology, or how we will explain information in chemistry or other things. And here you again you can see a text, and again on the with a bold, written in a bold, recognizing the speaker's attitude. Yes, and it is very important also if we speak about science. Yes, because also science is attractive when it is with attitude. Yes, and to recognize the phrases, the words, and the tone which we use to attract people with that. And here is one good example from one research paper, and explain bioinformatics to your grandmother. Here is it was published in 2013 by Bernard and Michel. And what they say, communicating with a lay audience about scientific subjects and making them attractive is a difficult task. Yes, but difficult or not, you will have to do it for many years, not only with your family and friends, but also with your colleagues and collaborators. Because again, here we can show through this example for our students how important all your life will you be a scientist, or will you be an engineer or architect, how important is to find the right words and to understand this mediating skills, to how I will say, how I will explain to my grandmother about this bioinformatics, which words I will use. Yes, here you see also in science teaching to use synonyms as to say the same. And yeah. So, and here is a very, I like a lot example, scientific example. If I will, Edgar has my presentation, there is a link, and it's super interesting. There are different stories in scientific stories about different things. And here is an example about DNA, and it's so nice also to use, for example, as a test. You can test your knowledge through creating such comics you can give to your classmates, and you can check classmates understand or not what you have written here. It's a very nice and attractive way how to demonstrate your knowledge. Do you really understand DNA or not? Yes, and through drawings, through maybe through explaining for grandmother or friends, we can really see, do you understand or not? And another thing what we can use, for example, again in biology, it's to write stories, because storytelling is of importance again in almost all our areas of life. Yes, and here, yes, to create story, to convince other people about what you want to say in biology, or history or geography. And another activity used very often is paraphrasing. Also, our students really struggle with this. Is a hard thing because they have never learned at school, and I think it is a problem because they try to copy. They read books and they copy copy the same sentences, and of course then we say no, it's a plagiarism. Yes, so you can't do it. But when we say you have to paraphrase, I say what I have never done it in my school. So, and this is important. Yes, and also it includes repeated, you have in paraphrasing, it's repeated reading. You have to develop note-taking habits. Yes, and to understand the synonyms, different vocabulary, and how to describe in your own words original text. Here is a very good, I like this paraphrasing game. Maybe you can also use with your students, and it's like a written version of old telephone game. And students, they start with original sentence, and then they fold it, they write their paraphrase sentence, they fold it, and they have to pass to next student, and at the end they open and compare how it is and how differ the all sentences from the original one. And it looks at the end like this is the full was paraphrased sentences. But summarizing, again, try to use as many ways as you can. It can be in graphic organizer, or it can be in written or oral form, because summarizing again is very important strategy to develop, and to summarize something. Students have to identify key elements and condense important information into their own words again, during or after reading, listening, to solidify meaning. And then another very yes, this is an example. Again, you can see if we are asking to summarize or something, we ask, we show it and we visualize it to learn, that students understand what they are doing, as I have already mentioned. And another very important thing that what I consider as very important is to understand where is the difference between to summarize and to synthesize. Yes, and synthesizing is one step further. And here, instead of just restating the important points from the text or presentation, it involves combining ideas and allowing an evolving understanding of the text or speech. Yes, this is like putting pieces together to see them in a new way. And here is, for example, again, from this my favorite textbook example. Yes, that for example, Matt Katz suggests trying a different projects every 30 days to achieve change. Caesar Kuriyama decided to do one project and to continue it for the rest of his life. Yes, you see, two things. Synthesizing, you use summarizing plus using these two ideas to create your own view and understanding of things. So, and then this social cultural knowledge, we have to think, as you saw in this language competence, it's important to have understanding from different viewpoints, from different perspectives, and the social cultural knowledge is very important. And here you can see this again, questions about, yes, to include topics, and to see from different perspectives, as you can see here again, how you will explain this cultural moment. What does it mean? As again, from the text. And yes, and it's I have worked in for example in Mexico or in Brazil or in United States, and always I understand that also science differs. The same science differs a lot, because in different contexts, yes, and how we speak about different how we speak about different topics in different cultures. So, and this is another thing, we have to provide activities that we can really think about those socio-cultural context. And here is a very interesting example from history. You take one book, for example, I took Ask the Past, yes, and again to have a questions, to formulate a questions, what would you like to understand, and then you, for example, here I will say how to make a turf bench, yes, and it is from 1305. Yes, and then you can compare, and through such activities you can pick whatever you book you like. Such activities they also develop creative thinking. You have to use a language, and you have to see through different ages how language also changes, about terminology, about how sentences are built, and yes, about grammar. And again, in one activity you open like a whole world. So, and yes, I can we have only 3 minutes, yes, left. So I think you will get this presentation, and here are different ways how to use different games to connect the subject with purposefully connect a subject with a language. And as a last thing, we developed or we adopted peer-assisted learning in Latvia with my colleagues Aija Kalve and Ieva Popul, and we had a research, and it works really good about this mediating, yes, where we work a lot with your peers, that you explain, you construct, but if you will have an interest, you can find those we have I don't know, two articles you can find on the internet. And this is what we used in our research. We took this reading in pair as this 2 times listening, as it's as the students work together, and they we use this activities not only in language, of course, classes, but in geography, in biology, as this peer reading and discussing in a classroom what I understood, yes, and retelling, discussing, summarizing. And the most difficult was predictions. This is the most difficult about level for in our research, we find our results of our research show that prediction really is hard, because predicting how we'll develop some processes or some stories, it was really hard. But you can consult in internet and find our research. And the last was very topical at the moment, is a Triad Conversation, and it is really good at, again, this co-constructing of knowledge and meaning. And you give cards, to Triad. Yes, you need three students. Pupil or student A takes one card with term and explains in his or her own words the meaning of the term. Depends of class size, but you can use 30 seconds, you can give time, or 2 minutes, it depends from terminology. And pupil or student B and C, they listen, and then after 1 minute or 2 minutes they change, and then pupil B summarizes, for example, about different processes or whatever, about this term again. And then student A and student C, they have possibility to hear second time. And then at the end, pupil B adds information to what told student A and student B, and you see three times from different perspective as they construct this meaning. And at the end of discussion, of course, they understand the term very well. So, and that brings me to the end of my presentation. Here you can see the main things we have to think about is that developing of subject competences requires language competence, and also building subject competences through subject competence, we can enhance or develop language competence. You see, all the time it goes together. And yes, I will gladly answer any of your questions, or I would like to hear also some comments or your thoughts. So I will stop my presentation. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much for your insightful and thoughtful presentation. And at least the thing that I'm going to take away with me is the thought that's important for me as the educator at the international school, and that's that every teacher is the language teacher. Thank you that you highlighted this aspect. And I'd like to ask audience in here at Exemplary School, and as well our participants via Zoom, if you have any questions, please write them down in Zoom. And the audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hands and the microphone is going to be yours. Questions, comments, remarks? I believe the audience is impressed. Thank you very much for your thoughtful work.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a few more administrative things. And before I'm starting with that, I think we must give a huge applause to the keynote speaker.